Okay, welcome everyone to Drake's Lounge Australia, 1st of March. That signifies the beginning of autumn for us. Things are destined to get cooler, although, having said that, autumn in Melbourne it's a really good time. If you're thinking of visiting Melbourne, autumn is the time to do it. We get a lot of sun, a lot of blue skies, calm conditions, and it's a good time of year here. We've had a very hot summer, and the garden, we've had no rain for weeks and weeks, and the gardens are looking very dry. They say that that's going to continue. There's no prospect of any rain at the moment, which makes it quite tricky in many ways. But there we are. We can continue with radio astronomy even if it's not raining. But from the Australian end, we have a couple of apologies. Andrew Klekachuk in Tasmania is an apology. He's got something else on, which is a pity because he always has something exciting to report. And Rob is traveling. Rob changes between, there's a person. Rob moves between America and Australia, chasing eclipses, so he goes around the world, and he's doing other things as well. We also, as I mentioned, we have quite a number of members of Drake's Lounge Australia busy with the Messier Star Party, which is organised by the Astronomical Society of Victoria. That's a public event. So they're busy running around trying to get everything set up before a cavalcade of cars arrives from Melbourne. The day starts around the middle of the day with activities, including radio astronomy, Shun Dish, and some degree of explanation given about radio astronomy. There's barbecue and all sorts of things going on. And then as the night comes along, various telescopes, the Astronomical Society telescopes are put into use, and people bring their own telescopes as well. So on the optical side, that's when it really gets busy. I'd say we've lost a few people. I think I'm the only one in Australia at the moment. We'll see who else might turn up. They're also having internet difficulties at Heathcote. They can't even get on for 5 minutes just to say hello. The one message from me, I'm planning now for the Western Conference coming up quite soon. And what we're going to do, I'm going to give a dated version of the paper that I gave at the Eastern Conference last year. So that was a summary of radio astronomy in Australia, which was very big, world-leading post-World War II, leading to the assembly and manufacture of the Parkes telescope, and then later extension of the Parkes telescope. That's still part of the deep space network, signals from Voyager and other long-distance spacecraft. And then in my presentation, I will run through some of the things that some of our members at the CEN are doing, updates on various things. So that if anyone from our Australian group is watching the video, which I hope they are, if you've got updates for me to include in the Western Conference paper, then that would be really good. It won't be exactly the same paper. The problem we had with the Eastern Conference, and Ted, you would know this, I think there was a problem with recordings. And so my session at the last conference was not recorded. So we're going to run essentially the same paper with updates, and then make sure the recording does take place. So then we've got that presentation on record, and it goes into the collection. That's the story from this end. Now, I'm not quite sure. Andy Duncan, are you American or Australian?
Oh, hi there. Yeah, I'm Australian. I'm in Brisbane. Hello, everyone.
All right.
First
Andy,
meeting. So,
yes, that's why I didn't recognize the name. What we do, Andy, is go around the screen and each person just gives us a quick update, introduction, and whatever they're doing. And I've done mine. There's you. I've got your video now. And if you'd like to introduce yourself to the others, and then we'll go around the American connection as well.
yeah, hi, everyone. I've been a member of SARA for some months now. I'm a beginner based here in Brisbane in Australia. I very frequently work the weekends, so I've been following on YouTube. So not only watching the videos. So this is my first live meeting. I feel like I know you all, so I thought I would jump on while I'm on leave and introduce myself in person. And my progress in radio astronomy is that I am converting a 2.3 meter C-band television dish to radio astronomy. So I have the dish. I'm going to strip it and paint it in a nice matte white color. I'm making a waveguide, and I've purchased and cut all of the aluminium. I've designed that up in CAD. And I've just got my hands on a welder, so I'm going to weld that up for the waveguide. And I have the Neuralink LNA and an SDR, and got some connections and an aluminium casing for the LNA. So bringing it all together, I'm going to just take my time with it and just do a really nice job rather than throw something quickly up just to get going. Prefer to do a really nice job and get it up permanently. That is a longer term project I'm working on, is automating the movement of the dish rather than just have it static and doing drift scans. So I've designed that mechanism in CAD, and I've got the raw stock, and I've just got to get the lathe spinning to start to make that up. Been testing some servos, stepper motors, linear actuators. So I'll bring that all together as a second step. I don't know how noisy my environment is here for radio at home, so I guess I'll find that out. My university has a site, an observatory, a place called Mount Kent out to the west. And I think there's some interest from them, track some satellites. I might work with them to get my setup out there and hopefully can remotely access that as they do with their optical telescopes out there at the moment. So that's my big picture. It's slow progress, but I'm chipping away at it all. We've got lots to learn still. So yeah, I work and study at the university. So I hope that this can start to form part of my honours thesis or onto some PhD work. So I want to bring my interests in there. And that's it. That's me.
Andy, that sounds great. I encourage you to take a lot of pictures along the way, because that will help others that follow the same path as you're doing. That's neat.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. Yeah, and I'm definitely going to start out with Easy RA. I've seen your work and I really like it.
Yeah, well, you've come to the right place, Andy. I think that's on this screen alone, there's a lot of expertise, and you'll find with Reflector, with the conversations going back and forward, it's a very active group, and if you get stuck, someone will have the answer for you. Guarantee that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I enjoy every morning checking through the threads and seeing what goes on.
Yeah. I particularly like your infinity view.
Yeah, really. It's cute. Yeah, I'm in my wife's work from home space. I don't normally sit up here.
There's the front of your head, the back of your head, reflected all the way.
Yeah, it's the first time I've turned that camera on. And
yeah, very good. Andy, would you be able to put your email address into the chat?
yeah, I will. Yeah.
So that I can add you to my list, because I send a reminder around. Rich Russell usually sends the link. It's the same link each month. Normally it's the fourth Saturday morning, 9 a.m. And I send a reminder around. Now, interestingly, our February meeting is now for us happening in March. And I was going to mention that because we struggle with time zones, getting on daylight saving, who's on daylight saving and who's not.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have a bit of an hour gap or a difference in where we should be. Michael has now appeared from France, and that's yet another time zone. But basically, the key is 9 a.m. Saturday. So now as of now, we've got the situation where some of you are still on Friday and still in February. And Michael, I think, is just still on Friday, but will very shortly go to Saturday. So we're in Saturday, and we're in March, and we're in autumn. So is the Earth round or is the Earth flat, is the question. And, I think you'd have to argue the Earth is round. Plenty of evidence for that. Thank you, Andy. I've got your email now. Put that on my list. And Michael, do we say Michael or Michel? Muted at the moment, Michael. You're muted. No,
as you like, no problem. You can call Mike, Michael, Michel, as you like.
What does Mum call you? That's always the question that I ask. It's what does your family call you?
Michel.
Michel. So, Michel, Michael, Mick, tell us all about you.
Okay. I have a little presentation to share, if you like.
Yes. Sharing. And sharing options. Who can share? Yeah, it should work. All participants. Yep, share away.
I cannot. Okay. You can see.
Yes, that's come up. It's
okay.
The desktop. That's a PowerPoint. Yep.
So my background, I am a retired engineer. I was working in nuclear industry, then in electronic industry, in electronic components here in France. And I make astronomy amateur for many years, mainly astrophotography. I am equipped with a well-known Celestron C8. I like to make pictures, and I made some exoplanet transits, some photometry. But the problem we have in France is that the weather has become worse and worse. Lot of rain, lot of clouds. 2 years ago, I decided I would like to look at radio astronomy. So I did start with listening to satellites, NOAA satellite, getting some image, and looking through internet, I discover Sarah, I discover Yugu, and I said, oh, great, I would like to do something like that. I did equip myself. Here you have my setup. So I have a antenna, grid antenna. I did both antenna boom from Nuelec on the 1.4 gigahertz, starting to make H1 observation with the Helena and Nuelec, and SDR from Nuelec also. And great thanks to Ted Klein, I discovered easy array. So I did study a lot on easy array to try to understand how to use it. So I did start to make some scan. Up to now, I did start about 3 months ago, and I'm scanning systematically the sky from 15 degrees because I cannot go lower than that because of trees, up to 115. In fact, it's north orientation, of course. And here is some nice picture from easy array. So you can see, so far I have 174,000 samples, and you can see some result here. One of my problem is to have the azimuth that is always stable because I have some wind. Sometimes the antenna move, and so you can see that they are not fully aligned with the theoretical galactic 0. But I have had some nice result. You can see here from some chart from easy array that we can see the. So I did compare with the professional, of course. The resolution is not very good. You cannot dream to compare with 30, 40, or 60,000 diameter antenna, but or interferometry. But still, I'm quite happy with getting this, and also start to see some of the galactic arm. So I hope by going more and more, I will get more nice definition here. I did try to put it on the picture of the galactic representation, so we can see some of the arms here. And also, I was very happy to get some result because the goal is to get some astronomy from this. So I was very pleased to see that I can get the speed, which is the theoretical speed of the clouds at the outer edge of the galaxy, and also the mass. And also I did try to make some 3D using some of Ted Klein presentation. I used the one published in the Sarah journal. And so I was quite happy to be able to do some 3D. So it's very interesting, especially the 3D of the arms. Even it's not very nice yet, but I hope with more scanning it will be better. So of course I have some eye cap, and I'm interested to have your opinion because my main concern today is to have some. When I make the scan, I have some rupture, some drop in the signal, and there are sudden drop, and it's hazardous. I mean, it's not, always at the same time, and I have no clue how to explain how I get this brutal signal change. So maybe some of you have some ideas. I know Ted gave me some communication, but for the time being, I didn't find. So what I did was to put out external supply, power supply, because I didn't know with this equal how to master the VST feeding. And I thought at some stage that I had overpower. And so I did put a DC say break, a DC, to be sure that the power comes from the external supply and not from the SDR. But still, I have this problem. So I have no clue how to solve that. Also, I have some problem to master in easy array. How do you master the galactic latitude for your signal? So I have, as you can see, I have a very, it gets from very high to low latitude. I don't know how to control the level of signal. The next step, I did try to make an antenna inspired by LXPT design, but it doesn't work very well. So I was, with all the effort I did, I could not get better signal. So I don't know if you have some ideas. I solved it by buying a dedicated boom from Nuelec. Of course, I will continue to accumulate data because I realize that the more you have data, the better it is. And it's very, it improves a lot. As more you accumulate, it improves a lot the definition. And of course, I would be interested to know from you guys and your expertise what I can do outside exploring H1, because I saw a very interesting from Jason, very interesting spectrum for M31, M33. I don't know if I am able to do that with my small antenna, and also, of course, the water maser and all these very attractive targets, but I'm not sure I can do that with the current antenna I have. And of course, I'm not very knowledgeable yet in the signal transmission, reception, etc. So I try to learn from nice YouTube with Sarah group, but I still have to learn. And sorry if I was a bit long, but that's it for me.
You had so many good things to tell us. I'm just impressed with your successes. At one point, you were taught about one plot back, one slide back. You were surprised by the dramatic change in signal strength.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I see that all the time too. I'm not quite sure what it's from. We discussed this on the Sarah reflector, and it seems to be more than just a temperature change. It seems to be some change in the electronics suddenly. Other
Do
people
you think
as well?
I don't know. I read some article on the, I don't know how you call that, when you have too much signal and you have the ground signal that come in the antenna. So you call that overspilling or whatever. I don't forget the term. Do you think it can be that I have too much signal that come in the antenna from outside? Or?
So that would be a signal from a neighbor or somewhere close that's overpowering your electrical system, usually overpowering the amplifier in the beginning. Yeah, maybe. But it all becomes the same problem, doesn't it? Mike, do you have your audio up? What was your comment there on chat?
Sorry. Okay.
Can you hear me?
I hear Mike Odie. Yep.
I usually step like that are bad connections. So it can be an SMA connector or an adapter or RG6 cable. I use
TV connectors, F connectors, and you got to polish the center conductor before you use it, because there's a little coating on the outside of the center conductor. That's my 2 cents.
So that's a mechanical slip between two pieces of metal somewhere.
Roger.
It could be.
A step looks mechanical to me. I would have thought if there's some external interference, it would come up gradually as you swung round.
I did improve a bit, because when I started, the cables were loose. So I fixed all the cable and it improved a bit. So now I have less problem, but still I have some. And I try each time to verify the connectors, but I don't know. I still have some problems, some issue there. By the way, you have in life the current signal, because my antenna is running all the time. So you can see, yeah, I have the signal, which is good now, right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not that good. So
What sort of coax are you using for the lead end?
LG 58, no, LG, it's correct, LG is 58.
Okay.
Sounds for you? No? I can check.
On this live display, you are collecting at two frequencies. One is a reference frequency, 3 megahertz
You
high
use this type.
hydrogen. We don't, okay. I'm not sure we see, depending how people have it set up. But could you, on the top right, could you click on ref div? It's just underneath the little off there, and we'll show the difference between the two signals. Can you get
Here?
a mouse display?
Yeah. I don't know what I can.
But that's the only solution I have for sudden changes like that. The reference signal will go through the same system and have the same surprise.
Yeah.
And so if I compare to the reference signal, that is my solution so far.
But it works that, because when you look at it's not the whole signal. When you look at the correct signal activity, then
After all these calculations, yeah.
after all this calculation, then it gets, of course, much better, because I can see the galactic crossing, and I have a good signal when it has been, when it gets through the Heathcote treatment. Then I get a good signal.
And we saw that on your earlier slides. Thank you.
Yeah.
If you select ref div, it will show you live the difference of the two.
Yeah.
So you can actually see the
And it works, because, of course, after I have rather good results with the curves where you can see the bumps around the galactic plans. So the correction works. But I still have this problem, and I don't know. So I listen to Mike. I will try to check all the connection again. Maybe I need to put something because it gets oxidized. So maybe I can clean the coax and put them again. Maybe it can help.
We want you to discover why.
Okay, I work on it. Already I have an improvement after we did talk. I did fix all the cables, so it's getting a bit better.
Thank you for your introduction. Back to Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, Michael, that's excellent. I think I would say two things about what you've just given us. One is the quality of your presentation and the data that you've got. Very good, and I think you'll be a welcome addition to these discussions. You've obviously made a lot of progress. And the other thing I would say is the quality of your English. It's a reflection of the French education system, I think.
Thank you. I need some vocabulary. I need some
Well, vocabulary is always an issue, but your English is way better than my French, let's say.
Thank you.
Well done. Very good.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to join your group because I find excellent. It's enjoyable to talk and share with you guys.
And to be able to contribute live. And now that's on the recording, so you'll go down in posterity on YouTube as well. Good. I noticed Roger Heap has joined us. Roger, have you got something as an update? Is he there? Did you run away? His box is there, but he's not. No? All right, well, we might come back to Roger. And I think that's all the Australian and the French connection. Perhaps now we go to, on my screen, Johnny Cox is first one on in order. Johnny, you've got anything?
I can make a brief report. I don't have anything as wonderful as what you folks are. I'm new at this. I've been doing it for several years. I'm a slow, required a lot of help. But I live in a little town called Easley, South Carolina. I had to chuckle about language. I always often say that in South Carolina we barely speak English. And I lived my formative years in Tennessee, so that's worse. But anyway, I've been retired about 4 years, which has been a real change for me. I have my antenna is in the backyard, the terminated folded dipole square array. I'm not a very good public speaker, so I jotted some notes down. Hope I can read my writing. I have two receivers that are Radio Joe receivers that I built. I've had those running now for several years, 40.1 megahertz. And they're rigged up through a hybrid ring where I can split the signal into right and left circular polarization, which is cool. Where red is right circular and blue is left. And I have a spectrograph that scans from 14 to 24 megahertz. We've had a pretty good Jupiter season. It is now ending here because Jupiter's making a move toward the sun. So I haven't been able to pick up anything in several days now. But it's kind of it. I'm really looking forward to the Eastern meeting, Eastern conference in Green Bay. Well, plan to be traveling there for that in June. Never been there before, but always wanted to go. So this is a good excuse to see that place. There are several Radio Joe folks that are going to, you folks probably know them already, but they're going to give talks, but the talking in public is not my cup of tea. So my job is going to be setting up, apparently there is a field there you can set up antennas. So I've got what I call my traveling dual dipole, which I'm going to take that, and I've got a laptop with spectrograph software loaded on it. And I built, I think you folks probably know Jim Sky, who wrote all this neat software and designed the calibrator, and I built that. So I'm going to take my calibrator with me and see what it looks like in a really radio quiet place. It's hard to find that around here. But I think that's about all I've got to say. It's a good time.
Yeah, sounds like you've got plenty to keep you busy there. And we did have Richard Flagg with us for a little while there, but I think he has headed off. But Richard Flagg does join us regularly. If you've got questions about Radio Joe, he's your man, I would say.
Had a lot of good teachers.
Yep.
Sorry.
We're going to move on to Jason. I think it looks like you're at work, Jason, eh?
Yeah, actually, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon here. I'm in Mountain Time in the United States. I'm actually in my office at the Dominici Science Center at NRAO because I work on the Very Large Array now. So I get to do this stuff for my job. And when I realized that the Australia sessions were still the last couple hours of the workday, I went and talked to my management, and they were all for me attending this because it's part of the outreach function that we have. I get to attend this on the clock. It's pretty cool, actually.
It's very good. You win both. You win both ways. Yes.
But I did post some YouTube links on the chat, and it's some video that I took on a maintenance day this last Wednesday and a couple Wednesdays ago out on the array and climbing on the antennas and doing actual work. And so I thought the group would appreciate some of those videos. So I put links up there. I'm also the liaison. I volunteered to be the liaison from inside NRAO for the Western Conference coming up in March. And so I'm helping coordinate the logistics of all that and making sure I'm working with the coordinator on the Sarah side, who is Ken Redcap. And so I've been working together with him to get everything organized and make sure everything's happening the way it should. I will make one announcement concerning the Western Conference in March, and that is if you are planning on attending in person, if you're signed up to come actually to the VLA and attend on site, you definitely do need to get your visit request in as soon as you can so that they can process that, because I'm trying to make sure that everybody has all their visit request all processed in there, so there's no problems when people arrive, because we do want to be able to take you on tours of some of the places in the science center where the electronic activity happens. And in order to do that, we'll need people to fill in their visit request. So Ken will be has sent out a link to that form. It's the same form that you use when you attend the Eastern Conference at Green Bank, but the difference is some of the fields you select different things for those for our location. But anyway, if anybody has any questions about those, definitely reach out to me. But other than that, I guess the only other thing I have to say is I don't know if you remember Andrew Thorneck from Great Britain. He's been having struggles getting his solar cooker dish to work right. And so I met with him a couple of days ago, and he purchased one of these nano VNAs at my suggestion. And when it arrived, we scheduled a Teams meeting, and I walked him through how to calibrate it and how to use it to sweep his hardware. and we found the problem was a cable. And it turned out it was a subtle thing. The cable was rather expensive, and it was a rather high quality cable. So it was surprising that we were getting no signal. And turns out that one of the connectors was the wrong type of connector. It was one of those SMAs that has the opposite gender contact in the center. And you don't, unless you know that, you would never know what's going on. It reminded me of a time with my Navy job where I was working with N-type connectors, and I didn't realize that there were both 75 and 50 ohm N-type connectors, and they look exactly the same on casual inspection, but if you try to mate them, they do not mate. Or they mate, but they don't make contact. And I spent a couple days pulling my hair out trying to figure out what was going on. But yeah, so he has had success. Yesterday he was, when we solved the problem, and there were a couple of other issues. His H1 LNA had a huge suck out in the middle of the pass band. It was dipping down. And so he switched that out with another one. And then he also moved his LNA very out to his feed instead of having a long cable coming in. And so it reduced loss. And now his system is performing wonderfully. He sent, I think Ted, he included you on the email as well. I think he sent both of us just a screen capture of his Easy Coal screen with a nice hydrogen profile on it. And the signal level was really good. So he was really happy. But that's all I got.
Very good. Thank you, Jason. And I like the idea that you can do this while you're at work. So I think that's a win. Your outreach, is that US or only, or are you looking for outreach across the world? You're on mute again.
It's basically just public outreach in general. So it's not limited to just US.
There are a number of programs, but
yeah,
funding quite often is limited to US only, for example. And sometimes we're able to infiltrate our way in one way or another. But it's just good to know that there are public programs going on, because that's where we make the connections from one country to another.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll have a
look. I would mention one other thing. I don't know if you have seen on the email list, the Sarah email list discussions, Edward Mole and I have been having an ongoing discussion, because he was the other one that's been doing extragalactic hydrogen line observing. And we've both kind of been talking about the idea of collaborating with some other amateurs who are doing drift scanning of the Milky Way with 2 meter or larger apertures, and seeing if we can mine their data and see if we can pull out some extragalactic sources from their existing data. And I would be especially interested in doing that in the Southern Hemisphere, because you have some sources that I would like to see if I can pull out the spectral profiles for. Yeah, we might discuss more of that.
And that reminds me, Jason, good timing. Our dish at Heathcote Dark Sky site, the Astronomical Society of Victoria, that's, as many of you have been out of commission, but we got the message this morning that it probably be back on track, fully operating within the next month or two. It's been a long story getting it going, but that will start to generate some data for you, Jason, which you'll be able to use and do a data swap around different locations.
Yeah,
that's imminent. They're working on it. It's been a real challenge, a challenge technically, but also just finding time. It's about 2.5 hour drive out of Melbourne. And for those people working, it's weekends only, and you got to get the team all up there. It's been quite a story, but we're getting there. Thanks, Jason, and I hope you'll be able to join us each month. Mike, you're next on my screen. Mike Otter, have you got anything else? I see a big dish behind you. You're on mute at the moment. Yep.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, all fine.
Okay, I'm a retired automation engineer. I live in northern Illinois in the USA, and I've been retired since 2015, and I've been a member of SARA about that long. I started out, I've been doing meteors for 25 years plus, but I started out with hydrogen in 2017. And first I did continuum measurements and then spectrum. And I even used Ted's program to build a map of the Milky Way there. And now I'm doing interferometry. I have 2 10-foot dishes, and I use a phase detector chip called AD82, and it's been doing a good job for me. I've got 26 sources so far, and just having a good time of doing discovery. I'm working on adding a third dish and maybe work my way into really simple imaging. So that's about me. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mike. Yes, thanks for the profile of what you're up to there. Sounds like you've got plenty to keep you busy. And if you've got data at this point, we'll air it in this forum. Questions, Mike?
Oh, yeah, I got a question. Mike, you said you did a whole sky survey hydrogen line. What aperture were you using for that? What size dish?
Using a 3-meter dish. And
yeah,
so
I'd be interested in maybe looking at your data, because I bet there's some extragalactic source data buried in there that we could pull out.
okay, I'll look through it and see what's good.
Oh, okay. What I could do, I'm assuming you were drift scanning, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. What I could do is give you the as-L positions of some sources that I might be interested in looking at. And if you could give me, well, basically, if you could give me an elevation scan that matches that elevation or that declination, and then
I work with declination, but I know the 6 sources that you was talking about, so we could try to look for those.
yeah. So I would, with a 3-meter dish, I bet I would be very surprised if M31 and M33 are not visible. I think it'll take some tricks to pull them out, but I bet they're there.
I've seen the stronger one, but I don't, yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Jason, is there any chance to have M31 signal in 1.2, the kind of dish I have, or it's just impossible to get it from the noise?
I think when you get much smaller than 2 meters, you're really pushing the limits.
Okay.
The smallest one that I've been successful with is about 2.5 meters.
Yeah.
I think you may be able to push it down to 2 and maybe just detect M31. But yeah, once you get smaller than 2, I think it's pushing it. Yeah.
much noise.
Although it might be, Edward Mole and I did figure out how to mine the lab survey database at Bond University and we figured out a process for using that data to simulate what a drift scan with a small dish would look like. And so I might try to run a simulation on M31 with yours is 1.5 meters, you said?
Yeah, it's a classical Wi-Fi antenna, the same
Yeah.
that Alex Petit use the same.
What you might do is do a sun scan to try to get the half power beam width of it. And then once you have that information, then I'll try to run a simulation using the lab survey data and see what we get. See if it's, because I don't know, it might be possible.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds like work to be done. Going around my screen again. Don, have you got anything you want to add in?
Not really. Here in Montana, we're having fake spring, so it's 50 degrees outside, but it's going to get cold again. I have nothing, as you see, I'm in listening mode at this point.
Yep. No problem. Keep listening. Plenty to learn. Tom, I saw you pop up. Have you got anything to report?
No, nothing to report, but I just tried to pop in to see what's going on. Anyhow, so yes.
Okay, thanks, Tom. You're in listening mode as well?
Oh, no, I am listening, and projects here for everything is at a standstill. We had quite a windstorm, so there's debris all over the place. So I've got family here now just trying to get everything into the trailer and out to the dump, but it's going to take a while. But other than that, looking forward to the conference.
Yes, I wish I could be there in person, but I'll be there on a screen at some point.
Me too on the screen. I can't make it in person.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Helen. And I think that's about it. Ted, you got anything you want to chip in?
We saw a little life. Oh, Roger. Roger's.
Oh, Roger has a few. Roger.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I slept in, had to go and make a cup of coffee. I've really got nothing to report at the moment. Excuse me. Life's getting in the way a little bit, actually, just really quite busy, but I'm hoping in the next couple of months to have a little bit more time to get back to things. But yeah, just here to see how it's all going, really. But I have had a couple of inquiries about some other people who might want to join as well. I assume I could just send you them their information and get
that'd be
them
good.
on the list.
And send me emails and I'll put them on the reminder list.
Yeah,
so
okay, sounds good.
What's happening? Yep, that'd be good. More the merrier. I think we, as I said at the beginning, I think before you arrived, we've got a few apologies this time through, as you say, life getting in the way, but also it's the Astronomical Society of Victoria Messier Star Party, and people are setting up for that. So they've lost their internet connection up at Heathcote. We've lost a few people. Yeah, the more the merrier. Keep conversation going.
Okay, thanks.
All right. But back to you. Did you have anything else?
We keep talking about your location out there. I think for the record, we should say where that is. Let me pull up this map. I'm hoping you're seeing your country there. And way out in the bottom right, down here by Melbourne, that's where Heathcote is. Am I correct?
Yeah. So can you zoom in on that, or is it
Exactly? Yeah.
going?
See where we're headed. Yeah.
See Bendigo. Keep going Oh, you just had it. Go back 2 clicks. Heathcote. Yeah. Heathcote South, I can see. Yeah, that's it. That's the township, Heathcote.
That's the general territory anyway.
Yep.
And
so
if I stop, I can go share somebody else. I found just by Googling you folks. This is a video you have up on the website, and that's the dish. Am I correct?
Yep, that's our dish. Yep.
And what does it look like now? Is it you're moving that jack screw up and down? Is
Yeah,
that correct?
The jack screw is back. It's now got this sheath on it to keep the muck out.
Right, protection.
That was the issue. It was a combination of grease and dust that was grinding the metal down. That's all been covered over now with a telescopic cover. They got the receiver back in place, and then they found issues with that as well. So they've taken that down, and they're doing a little bit more work on it. But I think mechanically, we're very close to having it operating normally. It's being put back together. And then once the electronics is up to scratch and reinstalled, then it'll be testing and calibration. But yes.
It's all up there on your website.
Yep.
Oh.
That's the Society website. There's the just popped up there the receiver box, which has been refreshed.
Okay.
I think it was back one more. You can see that. You can see it there. Yeah, there we are. So that box has been rebuilt basically. There's a reference source in there which is switchable, so we can switch between reference and true signal. And I think the text in this page is a little bit out of date now, but it's got transferred over from the old site. But yes, basically, that's what we want to get back on the air, and we're almost there.
So for folks listening, you can type in ASV like Victor for Astronomical Society Victoria.
Yep.
.org.au and find out all about them.
Yep. There's plenty of information there. And any questions beyond what's on the public websites, we can provide if there are specific questions. So just quickly around the screen, has anybody else got some last minute questions? Thanks for putting that up, Ted. That gives people a bit of a context about what we're on about. It sounds like my coffee visit is about to happen. I can hear noises behind me, so that's good timing.
This is John. I have a question of the fellow who works at the VLA.
Yep.
Sure.
This is not for me. It's for a friend of mine. We lead a long distance friendship. He's in Oregon and I'm in South Carolina, but he wants to go in June or so. I don't know the exact dates to visit the VLA. Is there anything that where does one to get a tour? Is that possible for him and his wife to get a tour?
So there's a visitor center out at the site that's manned during the day, I believe, all the time during the day. And so there is that. Trying to think what else.
You may already have this information. He's a retired planetarium director in Portland.
Okay. Yeah.
I just had a bulb go off in my head that said I might want to ask. I'm looking at you and you know the scoop.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, if you come during the week, you'll see more people, actual people working. But I believe that a visitor center is open on weekends as well. At the conference, we're actually planning to go out on Sunday to do the tour. But
So if he presents himself to the staff there, and when he gets there, he might be able to arrange something. Sure.
yeah, possibly, yeah. And there, like I said, the visitor center there's like an actual building, and it's got a gift shop, and there's usually a couple of people that they're actually there for that purpose to talk to the public and show
Okay.
them.
All right.
I believe when the weather is permitting, there's even an observation deck that you can go to in the control building that's in the same, I don't know if it's above or below the actual operations room where the operators are. So you can't necessarily go in there, but you can get the same view as they do. You're either like one level below or above them in the same building. And I think it's like an external balcony kind of area. And it's like an observation deck.
Ted's,
A letter.
yeah, Ted's got information there, and Ted's put a link in the chat as well, John.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
That looks like a good starting point.
That is a great place to start. Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry I interrupted.
Thanks, Ted.
There is another thing that your friend might want to keep in mind. If he's coming from the west, from Arizona into New Mexico, then there's another array that has fewer dishes, but it's spread out over thousands of miles. It's called the Very Long Baseline Array, and that's another asset that we support here. And one of the dishes from that array is in a little town called Pie Town, about 50 miles farther west of the relay. And so that's worth stopping to see, actually. You can't really, there won't be any visitor center or anything, and there's a fence around it, but you can get up close enough you can actually see it and see the control building. And it's, so if you're coming from the west, it's not, it might be worth just a quick stopover. It's a little bit off of the main road, and you can pull off and park and just see the dish. In fact, I believe my profile photo at work is me in front of the Pie Town dish, actually.
Very good. So many things to see. So little.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for all these tips. That's great.
This is the good place to be for tips, I think. I was just looking at dates, and we have the same issue in March that we've had in February, that the fourth Saturday is the 21st, but the fourth Friday is, for you guys, fourth Friday is the 28th. I'll talk with Rich, and we'll decide which of the Friday-Saturday combination we go with. But the Zoom link stays the same, so you can keep that email. You can always use the same Zoom link, which is very good. The issue we will go into very shortly is daylight saving. The end of March, we are still on daylight saving, so we are UTC plus 11. But come April, about April the 8th or something like that, we come off daylight saving, so we'll go back to UTC plus 10. But there are tools online so we can match up time zones, and we'll try and fit Michael in. Michael, that might have implications for you along the way. It might be, I don't know whether it's an hour earlier or an hour later. But we'll keep an eye on times and dates. There'll be stuff, information coming around about the next session. But I think we covered a lot of ground today. Some amazing work going on. And all I can say is keep up the good work. And let's meet at the Western Conference, either in person or on a screen. And time zones cause us trouble, Ted. Yes, you're right. Okay, thank
I
you.
do have one quick question for Ted. Maybe I think Ted may.
Hi, Jess. Others, if you
is-
need to leave, please head off. But yeah,
Ted, are we doing our top for March this Sunday?
I have to get the right calendar up here. I've been changing back and forth here. I have it on March 2, and that's in 2 days, right?
Yeah, I thought so. I was just making sure.
For you and me in Mountain Time, that would be noon. 2
Yeah.
o'clock Eastern U.S.
It's
Everyone's
better for me because it's not that late.
much better. I can
Guys,
understand.
it's midnight, 12:30.
We appreciate your dedication. Friday.
You,
very good. Yes, no.
Paul, I am with you same date.
Yes,
I'm not-
yes. Good to catch up, Michael, and thank you for joining us. I hope you can join us other time.
I'll try, yes. Maybe you can send me a invitation for the next
Yes,
meeting.
if you want to put your email in the chat, I'll write it down.
Okay.
And everybody else, yep. Head off. We'll catch up. There's always the email chat, the SAR email chat. That's always worth keeping an eye on. Lots going on there. Michael, go.
Thanks very
Thanks,
much,
Len.
everybody.